So you learned this week that always I want to be with you and make believe with you and live in harmony. But what did I learn this week? Number 1! Blizzard, you sneaky genius bastards. I had every intention of starting this week's review off with like this massive rant about how 4.1 content was done in like 15 minutes and how it's this massive, pugorific punishment for anyone trying to get their loot bag from the random dungeons. But then you went and you pulled a fast one on me and dumped a ton of 4.2 content. I mean, wow. In a matter of minutes, I went from stupid-ass Blizzard to like, badass Blizzard? Like, give me a hug. Yeah. There's just so much to talk about now. I'm really excited, actually. Which brings us to numero dos. I don't know if you guys had any time to watch the BlizzCast about 4.2, but if your informational thirst is not quenched after watching this video, then that's where you need to go. Turns out, much like we got when we played Sunwell back in BC, the Firelands has a questing hub that slowly transforms over the weeks from a pile of rocks into a fortified base of operations against Rag called the Sentinel Tree. The more you do, the more NPCs spawn, the more quests are uncovered, and the more important it sort of makes you feel overall, and it actually makes you feel like you have a place in the dungeon, which is awesome. And at current count, from what they said, there's over 60 quests that will be unlockable for this event. Not 60 quests total, but 60 daily quests. It's all randomized, and randomized with progression, so you'll get like 10 different ones the first week, and then 20 different ones the next, something like that. I, for one, am completely thrilled by this. I loved the sensation in BC that you actually were sort of accomplishing something, and the world was changing around you while you were fighting to save the Sunwell. That was awesome. For those of you who were not there, and were not around at the end of BC, you are in for a real treat. What's even better is that they're testing out some sort of new phasing technology where, imagine you and I are in a group, and I'm several quests ahead of you, but rather than it say that I'm phased and you're invisible on my screen, or vice versa, I'll see my world, you'll see your world, but we can both interact with each other and help on quests. Now, I have absolutely no idea how that's gonna work, but I will say that that has been my biggest complaint with phasing so far, and I'm thrilled to see they're trying to address it, and I can't wait to see what it's like. Here's hoping it's awesome. Oh, and one more thing. It turns out if you complete the entire questing experience, and I assume grind a faction to Exalted, you can expect a nice, new, shiny mount. Number 3! So it turns out that Fandral Staghelm serves as more than just a random boss encounter in a raid I thought he was sort of silly to be put in the first place. If you remember a previous rant I had on the subject, Fandral Staghelm is a Night Elf leader corrupted by a bunch of lore none of you really care about anyway right now. Well, as I mentioned at the time, I thought that out of all the places to put this character, the Firelands seemed the stupidest. Why would you put someone with a clear connection to the Emerald Dream as a second-rate boss in a mid-expansion patch? It just didn't make sense to me at the time. Well, turns out he may be the bringer of some major spoilage and an entirely new faction. As a lore nerd for the moment, I am completely satisfied by this answer because I'm hoping, 1, we get a Queen Azshara model showing up here pretty soon, and 2, maybe a hint of an old god behind all this because, as we know, they are behind everything. Or more importantly, maybe some Emerald Dream info. And finally, one of the tiniest yet coolest news tidbits out of 4.2 is Blizz intends to release something called the Encounter Journal, which basically is an in-game wiki about the bosses, their abilities, and what those abilities do. It won't tell you how to handle the abilities or offer any boss strategies or anything like that, but what it does do is it makes my boss strategy guides like 100% easier to make, because now when it comes to the actual abilities, I can just be like, go look it up yourself, you bum, and actually get to the boss kill strat. The best part though, is not only will it offer boss info and abilities, but according to Corey Stockton, the lead content designer, there will now be a feature that lets you see the loot that drops off the boss. And more importantly, it will let you sort that loot by class, so if you want, you only have to look at the stuff that you can use. It's basically Atlas loot, but without the built-in history of previous expansions, but you have to assume, like, over time, they're gonna end up doing that for all the previous dungeons. And of course, what makes it perfect is that you don't have to be in the dungeon or have even killed the boss yet to see the loot. Which in my book is epic trash! Epic. We sadly now return to a world without 4.2 to talk about the past week's awesome and suckage. And as it turns out, this week rocked for raiders. Blizz went ahead and implemented a few nerfs for most of the heroic content, so for those guilds out there that were good but not like Paragon good, it was a really great week of downing a lot of heroic bosses. At this point, my guild is like 5 of 13 on heroics, and we only raid 2 nights a week, so, you know, that's pretty good. Normally, this would lead into a conversation about, like, WoW elitists versus casuals, and if nerfing raids is a good thing for the overall game, but you know what, this time, I'm gonna say I'm pretty happy with what they did. Besides, all you elitist jerks are already sitting in Org waiting for 4.2 with your Sinestra loot on anyway. On another note, God do I love being right. For those of you who saw my ZG patch 4.1 guide on MMO Champ, again, thanks for that, I mentioned in there that ZA and ZG is like pug hell. Well, now combined with that sack of free loot and randoms in need of tanks and healers, it's like the craziest cluster F of bad gaming I have ever been a witness to. It is horrible. Complete and utter trash. Okay, so yeah, I freaking hate patch day. And in this case, it's sort of been like patch week. We could have had a minor fix somewhere in there, Blizz, but seriously, let's run down the massive suck that has been the lag spikes, dropped ZA runs, AoE targeting being effed in the A. Seriously, I get a group together to run ZA and we're all like, let's get this damn bear! Turns out, the first boss we all get dropped, and when we log back in, the timer is completely done. As for lag spikes, oh joy! Here's some footage of our heroic Atramedes kill, where I was attempting to get footage for a boss guide, and yeah, that's not gonna happen. And AoEs? Ooh, yes! Here's me trying to cast Healing Rain. It's become sort of like a mini game within itself, trying to get this damn circle to actually cast the spell. It's completely ridiculous. Just hotfix the damn thing, and let's move on. But, of course, I'm sure by the time this video is out, someone will tell me they already fixed it, and I'll have to apologize in next week's. Chatty Drummer says, "Where's Shazbot? Where? By God, Jesse, what did you do with him?"
Worry not, my honey pot. I've been around town like Charlie Brown. It turns out that unlike this trick fool Jesse, I work for a living, pimping out the finest in chrome-plated love machines, like the new NVIDIA GTX 590. Not only does she dress up your graphics all sexy, but she talks dirty to you for an extra 500.
Morning says, I love how all the failures are alliance. But seriously, those lame comments are important enough for screen time, but my undying female affection means nothing? First off, the first part of that comment is 100% accurate, no matter how you read it. The second part, though, while I'm flattered, sounds a bit suspicious, as the only woman who really ever showed me true undying love was Princess Matombe of the African Kingdom of Niger, who for only $15,000 would wire me her bank account information, allowing me access to her family's millions. Now that's true love. Though I can't say I ever heard back from her. I guess she's busy running a country or something. Right soon, my mochaccino princess! In regards to the last failure of the week, FS Darkwatch says, gold selling leads to people's accounts being hacked. I'm sorry, get over it. I hope you're joking. And if you're serious, I hope you get hacked tomorrow. Now, while I'm pretty sure I don't want to get hacked, I'm only using Darkwatch here as an example. Please be aware that he is one of many people who had a complete freak out for no reason. At least he gave me the benefit of the doubt though, and thought that maybe there was at least a possibility that I could have been joking. A lot of others were like, "Oh, you're so bad. Oh, I'm so mad at you." What last week's failure of the week was about, for those of you who didn't get it, was 1, the insanity behind the gold selling industry becoming so huge, and 2, it was simple sarcasm, irony, and satire. That's all it was. I don't condone or endorse spending money, real, hard-earned money, on game items or gold. In fact, I'm pretty sure the part where I jabbed people for spending their real hard-earned money on fake items in a fake game that eventually will quit anyway sort of made the point. But if you missed that, this is me telling you again. I mean, I'm a guy who hasn't bought a single collector's edition from Blizzard ever, because I think wasting $20 on a pet or a music CD is stupid. And that same idea goes with gold, or pets you can buy online, or any of that stuff. If you can't understand that from time to time I use my humor as a weapon or a tool to make you think about something, rather than just my usual nonsensical gibberish like, "I'm gonna love it," then might I direct you to Failure of the Week? This week's failure goes to my first and last pug in ZA. After making it through many sorta kinda fail ZG groups, but actually doing the dungeon, getting my loot bag, I finally got a ZA random and was like, you know what, I can do this too, sure, why the hell not? Now, sadly, I was simply going to record the start and end times and show you guys like how long it took to do this thing and how horrific it was, but I missed recording the absolute hilarity in between. Basically what happened was, as we started, we moved towards the bear boss, and myself and another player go, whoa, hold on guys, we gotta go to the eagle boss, come over here. Well, myself and this other player go, and the other 3 completely ignore us and engage the bear boss ads and start that encounter over there. Well, we try to run over to get to them, and they freak out and run back to us, aggroing the padding ads, pulling all sorts of mobs onto us, getting us instantly killed. Note the time now on the screen, if you will, and go back to when we started, and notice that is how long this group lasted. That is our official time of death. Not only did this group fail so badly, but it turns out they were all in blues and greens anyway. So while I'm sitting there like a moron in my tier 11 stuff, it starts to hit me, maybe doing these for a pet and a chance at Death Charger's reigns really isn't worth it. Just horrible. Dear Pugs, the new instances are meant for people in heroic blues and up. If you just hit 85 and are looking to get carried, GTFO, I have no time for your suck. Because you are the failure of the week! Anyway guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, to be continued.